Welcome to Align with Soulitude, where we explore the sacred path of inner truth, spiritual awakening, and soulful embodiment. I'm your host, Hamali, and today's episode is not just a conversation, it's a sacred intervention, a spiritual emergency broadcast that can no longer wait. Because what I'm witnessing in today's spiritual marketplace isn't just misalignment, it's a full-scale desecration of the sacred. It's the commodification of the divine, and it's happening while souls are bleeding out, desperate for authentic healing. This isn't about judgment, this is about justice. This is about protecting the vulnerable from those who would harvest their trauma for profit. The house of healing is on fire, and we're all standing around pretending the smoke is incense. In a world where healers are manufactured in weekend workshops and shamans are crowned by Instagram algorithms, embodiment has become the most revolutionary act of spiritual rebellion. Listen to me. Spirituality without embodiment is not spirituality, it's cosplay. It's easy to talk about chakras while your own energy centers are completely dysregulated. It's convenient to preach about shadow work while projecting your unhealed wounds onto every client who pays you. It's profitable to sell ancient wisdom when you've never sat with an elder, never been humbled by years of practice, never earned the right to hold such sacred medicine. Here's what true embodiment looks like. When a healer has walked through their own initiation, you feel it immediately. There's a stillness in their presence, not the artificial calm of someone performing peace, but the deep groundedness of someone who has wrestled with their demons and won. They don't need to tell you they've done the work. Their nervous system speaks for itself. I remember sitting with a medicine woman in ceremony who had been working with plant spirits for 30 years. She never once mentioned her credentials, never spoke about her training. But when she looked at you, you felt seen, not through the lens of what she could extract from you, but through the eyes of someone who had transformed her own suffering into genuine service. Contrast this with the spiritual predators I see everywhere. The energy healer who leaves every session more depleted because they're actually feeding off of their client's life force. The intuitive coach who creates dependency by convincing clients they can't make decisions without constant guidance. The trauma specialist who re-traumatizes people because they've never properly processed their own trauma. When someone hasn't done their inner work, they may become a spiritual vampire dressed in white light, speaking in Sanskrit, but fundamentally extracting energy rather than facilitating genuine healing. There's a spiritual industrial complex that has turned human pain into a profit margin, and it's a profound violation of the sacred. I'm watching healers build million-dollar empires on the backs of broken souls, selling hope like snake oil, packaging transformation like a commodity you can purchase with 3 easy payments. Let me paint you a picture of what this looks like. The Instagram shaman posts daily channeled messages that are actually recycled platitudes designed to create emotional dependency, sells $3,000 activation sessions that promise to unlock your highest timeline, but really just love bomb vulnerable people into financial commitment. The trauma vulture identifies people in acute psychological crisis and immediately offers their intensive healing program, preying on desperation, promising rapid transformation that's literally impossible for complex trauma. The spiritual MLM queen creates multi-level coaching programs where students are encouraged to invest in their growth by recruiting others, turning sacred healing work into a pyramid scheme disguised as spiritual community. I've personally witnessed the aftermath of these predators. A woman who spent $15,000 on soul retrieval work with someone who convinced her that her chronic illness was caused by her past life karma, keeping her trapped in spiritual bypassing while her physical condition deteriorated. A man who was told by his spiritual mentor that his depression was actually his ego refusing to surrender, and was convinced to stop taking his medication and join an expensive retreat that left him suicidal. A young woman was sold a plant medicine retreat for childhood trauma that she wasn't even ready to face or heal, which led to spiritual psychosis and years of recovery. This is not healing. This is exploitation with Sanskrit terminology. Oracle gifts are being weaponized, and it's time we call it what it is: spiritual abuse. True psychic ability comes with immense responsibility. It requires years of training your channel, learning to discern authentic guidance over your own projections, understanding the ethics of information sharing, and recognizing when not to use your gifts. But what I see instead is terrifying. Psychics are doing rapid fire readings like a factory assembling line for hundreds of followers, with no regard for the psychological impact of the information they're sharing. Not every day our channels are clear. A true oracle or priestess knows this. Intuitives claiming to channel someone's deceased loved ones for entertainment on social media. Oracle readers using their perceived authority to manipulate people's major life decisions. I recently saw a spiritual coach convincing someone their job loss was the universe pushing them towards their higher purpose, while selling them a costly program they couldn't even afford. That's not intuition. That's psychological terrorism. Real oracle work is done in a sacred container, with consent, with preparation, and with deep respect for the impact of information. It's not content, it's not performance art, it's not a way to build your following. When you weaponize intuition for profit, you're not serving spirit, you're serving ego. And the damage you cause ripples through generations. The most dangerous person in the spiritual community isn't the obvious charlatan. It's the well-intentioned but completely unqualified spaceholder. These are people who mean well, who genuinely want to help, but who have stepped into roles they're psychologically, emotionally, and spiritually unprepared for. They're like medical students performing surgery. The intention might be pure, but the results are catastrophic. Here's what unqualified space holding looks like. The bypass artist. Someone who learned about high vibe thinking and now tells everyone with depression to just choose joy, completely invalidating the neurobiological reality of mental health conditions. The plant medicine pusher. Someone who had one profound ayahuasca experience and now recommends psychedelics to everyone with no understanding of the contraindications, preparation, or integration support. The spiritual emergency dropout, someone who experienced spiritual awakening or psychosis, they can't tell the difference, and now guides others through dark nights of the soul, often triggering spiritual crisis they have no idea how to support. I know a friend who attended a single breathwork training and immediately started offering trauma release sessions. Within months, she had re-traumatized 3 clients by pushing them beyond their nervous system's capacity, triggering flashbacks and disassociation that required actual therapeutic intervention to resolve. The horror stories are endless. Unlicensed therapists convincing clients to cut contact with family members based on energy readings, unqualified ceremony leaders facilitating plant medicine experiences without medical screening, emergency protocols, or integration support, self-proclaimed spiritual teachers creating cult-like environments where questioning their authority is labeled as ego resistance. These people don't need judgment, they need education. But while they're learning, real people are getting hurt. Somewhere in the spiritual community, we began confusing certification with initiation, and it's destroying the integrity of sacred work. A certificate from a weekend workshop is not the same as walking through the fire of your own transformation. Real initiation doesn't happen in a hotel conference room. It happens in the midnight hours when you're facing your own demons. It happens in the months of silent integration after your world has been shattered and rebuilt. It happens through years of mentorship with someone who has walked this path before you. Traditional cultures understood this. In indigenous traditions, becoming a medicine person required decades of training. You started as a child, watching and learning. You spent years in apprenticeship being tested, not just on knowledge, but on character. You underwent initiations that broke you down and rebuilt you. You learned not just technique, but responsibility, ethics, and the weight of holding sacred space. Now, we have shamans who learned their craft from YouTube and medicine women who bought their credentials online or sat once with Mother Ayahuasca. I know someone who spent $5,000 on a shamanic practitioner certification that was completed entirely over Zoom, with no in-person experience, no mentorship, no testing of their ability to hold space under pressure. 6 months later, she was offering soul extraction sessions, working with forces she had no understanding of on people whose trauma she was completely unequipped to handle. The most heartbreaking part? She genuinely wanted to help. She thought the certificate meant she was ready. No one told her that real preparation takes years of devotion, not a few weekends. After years of witnessing spiritual abuse, I've identified these patterns. These predators use the same tactics refined over generations of exploitation. Number 1, love bombing. They shower you with attention, special recognition, claims that you're different or chosen. They make you feel seen in ways you've never experienced. This creates artificial intimacy and psychological dependency. Number 2, isolation. They gradually separate you from friends and family who might question their methods. They label your support system as low vibration or not aligned with your growth. They become your primary source of validation and guidance. Number 3, financial escalation. It starts small, a reading, a session, a workshop, but there's always another level, another program, another investment in your growth. They create artificial urgency. This opportunity won't come again. You're ready for this next initiation, but only if you act now. Sound familiar? Number 4, spiritual gaslighting. When you question them or express discomfort, they turn it back on you. You're in resistance. Your ego is protecting you from growth. This discomfort means the work is working. They make you doubt your own instincts and perceptions. Number 5, trauma bonding. They create intense emotional experiences, breaking you down in healing sessions, then positioning themselves as your rescuer. This creates psychological dependency that feels like deep spiritual connection. I've seen these patterns destroy lives. A woman who lost her house because her spiritual mentor convinced her to invest her savings in his manifestation intensive. Money that disappeared when his program turned out to be fraudulent. A man who was isolated from his family for 3 years because his guru convinced him they were energetic vampires holding back his spiritual evolution. There was a young woman who developed severe PTSD after being pushed into confronting childhood trauma she wasn't even ready to process by someone with no therapeutic training who called himself a soul surgeon. These are not isolated incidents. This is an epidemic. The most advanced spiritual practice right now isn't meditation, energy work, or psychic development. It's discernment. It's developing an immune system against spiritual manipulation. Here's how to recognize authentic healers. They honor consent. Real healers get explicit consent before any energetic work. They explain what they're doing and why. They check in regularly. They respect your boundaries without making you feel guilty or resistant. They refer out. Authentic practitioners know their limitations. They refer clients to experienced specialists when appropriate. They don't claim to heal everything or be your only source of support. They encourage independence. Real healers want you to become empowered, not dependent. They teach you tools for self-regulation. They celebrate when you no longer need their services. They don't create addiction to their guidance. They walk their talk. You can feel it in their presence. They've done the work they're guiding others through. Their nervous system is regulated. Their energy is clean. They don't project their unhealed wounds onto you. They practice radical honesty. They admit when they don't know something. They apologize when they make mistakes. They don't hide behind spiritual personas. They show up as flawed humans committed to growth and service. Pay attention to these sometimes subtle red flags that might be signaling misalignment. Claims of special powers or unique abilities. Pressure to commit to expensive programs immediately. Discouraging you from seeking other opinions or support. Making you feel guilty for questioning their methods. Promising specific outcomes or timeframes for healing. Creating fear about what will happen if you don't work with them. Your intuition is your greatest protection. If something feels off, it probably is. Your discomfort isn't resistance, it's wisdom. What we're witnessing isn't just bad business practices, it's spiritual warfare. There are forces actively working to corrupt healing spaces, to turn sacred medicine into profitable poison, to transform temples of transformation into marketplaces of manipulation. And they're winning because we're too spiritual to fight back. We've been conditioned to be nice, to avoid conflict, to send love and light instead of holding people accountable. We've been taught that calling out abuse is judgment and that exposing predators is low vibe. But silence in the face of spiritual abuse is not compassion, it's complicity. Every time we fail to speak up, another soul gets harvested. Every time we stay quiet to keep the peace gets shattered for someone else. Every time we choose comfort over courage, the corruption spreads deeper. This ends now. We need spiritual warriors, people brave enough to call out manipulation disguised as medicine. We need sacred activists willing to protect the vulnerable from those who would exploit their pain. We need conscious rebels who refuse to let the divine be commodified and sold to the highest bidder. The healing community doesn't need more love and light. It needs more truth and justice. How we fight back? Number 1, expose the patterns. Share your stories, name the behaviors, describe the tactics. When we speak our truth, we give others permission to recognize their own experiences and break free from spiritual abuse. Number 2, demand credentials. Ask about training, supervision, ongoing education. Real professionals welcome these questions. Predators get defensive or try to spiritual bypass with claims about their natural gifts or divine calling. Number 3, support survivors. When someone shares their experience of spiritual abuse, believe them. Don't minimize their pain or suggest they attracted the experience. Help them access genuine spiritual and therapeutic support. Number 4, choose embodied practitioners. Work only with people who demonstrate genuine integration. Look for regulated nervous systems, transparent communication, ethical boundaries, and evidence of their own ongoing healing work. Number 5, refuse to fund abuse. Stop giving money to spiritual predators. Even if their content is entertaining or their presence is magnetic, your financial support enables their continued exploitation of others. Number 6, create alternative systems. Build healing communities based on mutual aid, peer support, and genuine spiritual mentorship. Create containers where authentic growth can happen without exploitation. I have a vision of what authentic spiritual community looks like. Healers who have spent years in their own process before ever touching another soul. Practitioners who work in collaboration with licensed specialists. Communities that prioritize safety over profit, depth over performance, integration over activation. Wisdom keepers who understand that true healing is slow, non-linear, and completely unpredictable. Sacred spaces held by people who have been broken and rebuilt, who know the difference between medicine and poison. This future is possible, but only if we're willing to fight for it. To the survivors of spiritual abuse watching this, your experience matters. Your pain is valid. You are not crazy, resistant, or spiritually deficient. You encountered wolves in sheep's clothing, and your survival instincts served you well. To the authentic healers doing this work with integrity, thank you. Keep going. Don't let the corruption around you dim your light or compromise your ethics. The world desperately needs your medicine. To those who recognize themselves in the description of harmful practices, it's not too late to change course. Get supervision, seek therapy, do your own healing work. The spiritual community needs practitioners, not predators. And to those choosing silence in the face of abuse, your time is up. The wounded are watching. The vulnerable are counting on us. The future of healing hangs in the balance. Will you be a part of the solution, or will you remain a part of the problem? Because make no mistake, in this spiritual war between love and exploitation, neutrality is not an option. The sacred is under attack, and it's time we fought back. If this message has stirred something in your soul, good. That stirring is your spiritual immune system activating. That discomfort is your discernment coming online. That fire in your belly is righteous anger in service of the sacred. Don't let it cool. Don't let it fade. Let it fuel your commitment to truth. Because the future of healing will not be built on performance, profit, or spiritual bypassing. It will be built on embodiment, integrity, and genuine service to others rooted in their dharma, a soul's truth and sacred purpose. When we come together as a community committed to authentic practice, we create something powerful. We become guardians of the sacred work, holding each other accountable with love and discernment. This isn't about perfection, it's about intention. It's about showing up with integrity, doing our own inner work, and creating spaces where real healing can happen. The spiritual community has incredible potential to transform lives and heal our world. Let's make sure we're building something worthy of that trust. Thank you for being a part of this conversation and for caring enough to look deeper. If what we've explored today has stirred something in you, I'd love to hear from you. Drop your reflections or questions in the comments. I'll be replying to as many as I can. And if you feel called to support this space, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to hit that bell icon to stay updated on all upcoming episodes. Until next time, guys, trust your path, honor your process, and keep aligning with Soulitude. I'm tired of these fake healers. Oh, this is what it is.